Hola Guillermo. Hi everyone. Thanks for dropping by my YouTube channel today, where I'm about to do final tests on this Beckhoff based EtherCAT trainer system. This is a system that I recently sold to Guillermo, and I want to thank him very much for purchasing that from me. Before I ship it to him though, I want to make a video to show that it's all fully functional. As you can see, the system is currently on. There's a 24 volt DC, nearly 4 amp power supply, so that should be adequate to power anything that you want on this pallet. Additionally, there's a Beckhoff EK1100 system. That's the heart of the EtherCAT system here. Connected to the EK1100 is one digital output slice, 8 bits. Those outputs are connected directly to this relay bank. They also are connected to this connector here, so if you wanted to connect some remote IOs, you could do that. Next to that, I have a digital input, which these 4 switches are connected to. Additionally, I have this connector here connected to those inputs here, so that you could again connect remote IOs to it. I have 2 digital gauges which show voltages, and I have knobs that control those, so as I rotate the knobs we see that the value changes. And I have 2 analog gauges. Those are connected to the analog output slice on the Beckhoff system. So as we drive some analog outputs from the Beckhoff system, we'll see these gauges move directly. I'm going to bring up a web view now that I've drawn up to show the performance of this system. As you can see on the view, I have 2 analog gauges. Those analog gauges correspond directly to the values that we see here. So if I were to turn one down to 0, the left one, we see the gauge here reads 0, and the gauge on the web view also reads 0. I can do the same thing with gauge number 2, so they're both at 0 now. So if I increase the top gauge, we get a value of 3.28, so we get approximately 3.28 on the gauge itself on the web view. I can do the same thing here with number 2. So that's functional. I also have 2 gauges here. They're analog gauges, and if you look at the web view, I have 2 sliders. So if I move slider number 1 to 0, we see that the top gauge goes to 0. I'll do the same with the bottom gauge, and then as I slide the gauge towards maximum, we see that the gauge here is now reading maximum. So the analog output slice is functioning correctly. So I can go back to about 50%, and I'll do the same thing. I'll go up to maximum. We see that the gauge here on the trainer itself is at maximum, and if I go down to about 50%, we see about 5 volts DC on the gauge. The next thing I'll check is the 4 digital inputs. I have 4 switches here that will light up as I press them, and as I do, if you look at the web view, there's 4 indicators that come on and off with the status of these lamps. Notice that they're all off, they're all on. So that's fully functional. The last thing we have on the web view are a bank of 8 switches. As I toggle these switches, we see the green light go on, and we saw the little red light on the relay bank come on as well. So let me do that for the next one. So as I do that for all of them, we see the relay bank come on, and it is now fully on. And I can toggle them off one at a time as well. Same thing. So Guillermo, there we have it. I want to thank you very much for purchasing this from me. Muchas gracias. For all you other viewers, if you have interest in a system like this, please feel free to contact me. I'd be more than happy to speak with you about that. In the meantime, I hope you'll take a few seconds to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate that very much. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.